Okay, I'm hoping. Thanks. Can you hear me all right? I cannot hear you on the spaces. Okay, now we are good. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. All right. I am just going to triple check a couple of things. We okay, excellent. So we should be good. Um, all right. Awesome. I'm probably going to get some feedback. So give me 1 second before we kick things off. Sure. All right. Excellent. So thank you for those who are joining. We're going to probably give it a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to let everyone know that if you want to actually come join us in World, we're currently taking this this conversation from a Hyperfy world. So if you just type in hyperfy.io/rigged, RIGGED, we're actually sitting within a virtual space at the moment. We've got some chairs set up, and we're going to try to do a live Twitter Spaces also from a virtual world. We're both in our VRMs, and that's something that we'll be talking about a lot today. So yeah, it could be cool. You should be able to join on any device, even if you're on your mobile phone. Maybe even VR if you're lucky. Just know that we will simultaneously be streaming the audio through the Twitter Spaces as well as the Hyperfy world. And we'll also be streaming this to YouTube so we can have a look at it later on. Um, but yes, cool. Let's just give it one more minute and then we'll kick things off. And I just want to say that this is really. Yeah. And I'm just realizing now that I should probably get my mic muted in the world because whatever you're saying will come through as my voice in my avatar. But anyway, we'll figure that out. Okay, cool. Let's kick things off. I mean, since you want to kind of take the lead on this, I think really from my perspective, maybe let's run through, talk a bit about VIPE, talk a bit about maybe the history of VIPE, crypto avatars, Polygonal Mind, and then maybe we can talk through kind of the functionality of the avatars, maybe both of our joint experiences of utilizing avatars in virtual worlds, and yeah, kind of just riff on that, unless you have anything else in mind. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, for sure. I can give an intro, who we are, and also what we're planning to launch. Um, so Cynxx, I'm the COO at Polygonal Mind. This is our main company, a creative studio that has been developing metaverse experiences for about 4 years now. We started with both VR Chat and Decentraland in 2018, and that's when we started to consider the metaverse. We've been building a lot throughout multiple platforms as much as we could, learning how to build everywhere, onboarding people, onboarding companies into the metaverse, into all these 3D spaces that we love a lot. And that's Polygonal Mind. That's the main company. But our biggest internal project for a while, for about 3 years now,
thing called crypto avatars. As anybody can imagine, that's about avatars that have blockchain technology combined with them. And we've been developing that for about 3 years. We wanted to make a digital identity platform where people could find their avatar, the one that they like a lot, customize it, do stuff with it, and get the most out of it. And for about a year now, we wanted to change the name to something a little bit more neutral because we wanted for our platform to be accessible to as many people as possible. So even if you don't know anything at all about how to set up MetaMask, use crypto, anything about blockchain, nothing at all. We want to get to a point where this platform can be of use to all of those as well. Although, of course, as you could imagine, the full experience you will get if you actually are into Web3, have a crypto wallet, have crypto, and can leverage all the power that the blockchain has. So what we're launching is VIPE, and we're actually launching it in just 2 days. We're super excited because, as I said, we wanted to change the name for a while now, over a year. VIPE comes from virtual persona, and man, it's been a long journey, and there's so many things that we have developed already that we haven't been able to launch because we wanted to change the name, of course, and we wanted to wait for that. And it's super cool that we're finally there, happening this Thursday on 1st of June, and we're starting both with launching the marketplace and the minting of our newest BRM 3D avatar collection of Interoperable and all that. And throughout this summer, we're going to be launching a bunch of different tools that people are going to be able to use, leverage, and have fun with. So we cannot wait for that.
That is all extremely exciting news, and I think in terms of people in the space, whenever I'm having conversations with different companies or people that have interest in avatars in digital fashion in terms of how they can kind of innovate in the space. I mean, you guys are always the first to mind, and that's not me just being nice. That's from all the different types of technologies that you've integrated, you've really led the way in terms of thinking about the long-term vision of things as to how digital identity can play a part in, virtual world experiences, but also how the certain traits or components of ownership of one's digital identity can be, uh, where the blockchain can harness the ability to create that true ownership. But yeah, so I think today I want to talk a fair bit about VIPE. And I mean I think also the reason VIPE came into existence. I think on top of that, we can explore what other ways people will be able to use their VIPE avatars and the ability to kind of integrate these across different platforms, be it AR, VR, or different virtual worlds. And for everyone who has joined thus far, just letting you know that we are also streaming this in Hyperfy in an actual virtual world where we're both using our avatars. So if you drop over to hyperfy.io/rigged, RIGGED, we are actually both sitting on the couch here, taking this conversation from the virtual world. We've got a little bit of an empty space at the moment, but that's all good. That's to be expected. So yeah, I mean, I think kicking things off, let's talk about the visual component of VIPE. These characters have a ton of different traits, but stylistically they are kind of quite unique. They're almost, take the avatar approach that avatars from platforms like VRoid Studio have, but they're also stylized in a way to make them a bit more approachable, a bit more fun. Maybe for people that aren't looking for, an anime type avatar. So let's kind of dive into the visual look of it, why you kind of decided upon that, and how that translates to everything that you're building out, especially, in terms of making things accessible to maybe non-crypto audiences, or just trying to adopt the masses to this type of technology.
Right. Yeah. Second question. It's not actually the only collection. Actually, those collections that we have in technologies that are going to be ported into VIPE. So, we're making a platform for as many collections as possible that are about BRMs and avatars and so on. So, the VIPE Heroes, this started, I want to say 6 months ago, something like that, when we started to see what the new branding for VIPE was going to look like, and we got really excited with it, and we thought that it would be really cool since in the end we are a creative studio. We have many artists in our team, and we were doing already 3D avatars for many collections and individuals and so on. We thought that it could be a good timing to also make a collection from scratch ourselves. Of course, even our history, we wanted to make a collection that is super optimized so that you can use it in web-based metaverse platforms, and of course it's VRMs because we're about VRMs, and also because this is the format that is getting more popular among all of these games and platforms. They're adopting it. They are seeing that it's the actual format that works really well for avatars. And about this style, we have a part of the team that they're concept artists. They're mainly 2D artists, they're illustrators. And we tasked them with uh, creating the first iteration of this avatar. So, um, as you can probably see, if you have seen some of the pictures of the avatars that we're going to be minting, they have certainly uh, inspiration from anime, that's for sure. And also, we wanted to give it a twist. So in a way, they're also different. I think comparing these avatars that we have made with most of those that you can see in all of those platforms from Asia mainly, and I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, but it's similar and different in a way because sure you can tell there's some things that are the same, but you can tell them apart for sure. And also, we wanted to make a collection that is super, super colorful because we're building a story about them, and the story is also about that, about these guys, these characters, these avatars getting their colors back, their concepts back, and so on. So that's why they're like that. So the bad heroes are basically preteens that get liberated and they get their color back, and they're super um, outgoing and super friendly, super easygoing, and so on. And there's going to be 5,000 of them that we have made. That's a limited collection. But we have plans throughout this summer and beyond about them to add even more value to them, and also making even more avatars, even more customization options for them.
Yeah, I mean that's brilliant to hear, and I think I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the full collection looks like, but also teasers of what's next. And we're talking about the VRM standard, and I think that's kind of a core component, kind of like a pillar of everything that's going on in the space around digital identity. At the moment, at least in my mind, it's kind of a crucial element to 3D avatars for collections and sets of avatars that want to be interoperable across these virtual worlds. So, if you're not familiar with uh, I am sorry, didn't unmute in Hyperfy. I'm dealing with a few screens and devices at the moment. But yeah, in terms of VRMs, it's kind of something that's been around for a while. The technology and the standard has been around for a few years, but there's been kind of a select few group of few people that have been proponents of this standard, and as soon as I caught wind of what it actually sets out to achieve, I was like, okay, this is why isn't this everywhere? And you know, you guys over on the VIPE team, and obviously coming from the crypto avatars team, have kind of been waiting for a moment like this, I would assume, where people in the NFT space quickly rushed to get their PFPs, and thousands of 2D PFP collections were coming out, and utility was kind of sourced through all these different components that the owners and leaders of these collections were instilling, but there wasn't really anything visually that anyone could do outside of just using their PFP as a PFP. But when seeing this technology and seeing how 3D avatars could really be a way to embody one's visual identity across different places, it kind of clicked that the VRM standard should be really a standard. And I think Web3 is kind of becoming more familiar quite quickly with the standard. The reason I think this is the case is because you've got platforms like Hyperfy and Monaverse, which were a couple of the first and Webaverse as well, that truly adopted the standard as their avatar um, animation system for that platform, and allowed people to upload their own assets to be able to use it in platform. The slowly after that came the likes of OnCyber. I know that the Decentraland over the weekend launched a avatar VRM exporter tool. I am assuming, just because I've seen multiple comments online, but potentially spatial might be next. I think we're probably a couple of years away from the likes of Epic or Roblox to be incorporating these type of standards, and there's a lot of other reasons why I don't think they would just yet. But the kind of headwinds picking up a bit, and it's really great to see. But from someone who's been dealing with VRMs for a while, can you maybe explain the benefit of VRMs and the benefit of utilizing blockchain technologies to make VRMs as extensible as possible?
Since also one was releasing open source avatars in VRChat. So that was about the time that we converted them into VRS, and we started to get into why it would be uh, a file format that will have a set that actually becoming a standard. Because obviously, whenever a new file format is created, it's not a standard, it's a standard as it gets adopted. So the main benefits of it is that the way that we looked at it is that we were looking for something that had the licensing covered within the file. So in a VRM, if anybody has made one in here, you'll be able to see that you can set who's the owner, who's the artist that made it, who can use it, how can you use it, all those licenses are within the file format, and that was something that we were really interested in. And also another big thing was that it's an open source format and anybody can use it. So we were really interested in that, so we started to use it right away. And there's also things like standardizing humanoid skeletons. We were seeing already that people were starting to use it, but maybe on a smaller scale. And turns out, Texan, of course, the CEO, he's the one that leads the way in these kinds of things. He's the one that finds new things or gets ideas that get make for a really successful project over the years. So we took it sense with the VRS, and it has worked really well because more and more people, more and more um, platforms and games and so on are starting to adopt it. And look, in the end, it's becoming a standard because many are adopting it, and I think they're mainly adopting it because whenever you're making a new platform or a new game, whatever it is, new tool, you want for people that already have files, already have whatever it is, they can come to your platform, they can come to your game and use it right away, right? If I make a platform or a game that uses files that nobody has heard about, the barrier of getting into my project is going to be way tougher. So that's how I'm seeing things. Like it's starting to snowball, and I think it's only gonna get quicker adoption over and over just because more and more are adopting it. And as I said, like if you're starting building a game or a metaverse platform or anything like that, you want to use files that are getting standardized and more people are starting to use. And the PRM is the one that is getting standardized for avatars. And that's why we're building around it. We want to be the platform that everybody taps into to find the avatar that they like, the one that they want to use, and they find out about different ways of using it.
Yeah, spot on. And I think, in terms of usability, there's so many different avenues that one could take to utilize their avatar. We're sitting in Hyperfy at the moment. That's one use case. There's many other virtual world platforms that we can hop between and take that avatar with us, especially if that's minted as an NFT and that metadata is uh, on chain, and these different platforms can read them, read that metadata and pull these files in. I think in terms of some of the other use cases, we actually had a an audience question for Maximus, but we're seeing a lot of these avatars in the VIPE promo videos that you guys are creating. There was a question around what type of programs you've been utilizing to create that type of content. Are you able to speak on that at all?
Just a little, because the content, as you can imagine, is coming from our marketing and design team. Don't think that they're using anything weird, like they're mostly using the usual video editing tools like After Effects, Premiere, and so on. They're using Blender, things like that. So it's nothing, there's no weird program that only us knows about that we're using to make the things that we do. It's just regular, the usual designing tools that everybody uses.
Awesome. Good answer. The yeah, and I mean, that's obviously another use case. But as we see more AR and VR use case applications coming to market as the technology progresses, there's a lot of different ways that one can utilize these VRMs. I think really what I'm expecting, dependent on how the June 5th WDC3 conference goes. I think VTubing is going to be a big thing to bring people on board to the VRM standard. VTubing is something that I think a lot of people that don't understand the technology, they would feel that it's probably something out of their reach. Uh, they're seeing characters that have their own studio setups, or these stylistic 3D models, and for someone that may have no experience in the space, say a YouTuber with like a high subscriber count, they may be like, okay, I'm not going to look into this because I'm not a 3D person, I'm not a tech person. This just seems too overwhelming. But the matter of fact is that VRMs make it so simple to take your visual identity and kind of recreate that and build on top of and integrate your avatar into all these different platforms. So, for me personally, I think there will be a tipping point where VTubers become a lot more prominent, and I think VRM is going to be one of the key technologies that allows this to happen. And then once that kind of gets picked up and people look into it more, the traditional non-VTuber streamers look into it, I feel like there's kind of going to be an explosion of that type of application coming into the space. We're also, expecting well, I am also expecting an announcement from Apple next week about their mixed reality headset. So, for those who don't pay too much attention to the space, Apple has an annual developer conference coming up on June 5th. And they've also had a headset in market that has been kind of waited on for many, many years now. And every year at this conference, people are expecting for this headset to be announced. And it hasn't. It's kind of just passed by. But there are multiple signals within the market indicating that this year is going to be the year that this headset comes to market. One of the reasons that I look to is that Upload VR, which is a very popular VR publishing publisher, they do a lot of VR related news. They have been invited to this conference for the first time ever. And if we think about Apple and we think about the historical capacity for this company to shift culture, to shift the way that we interact with technology, the way that we socialize. I always go back to the thinking about video calling and how when Skype came along, it was really awesome, but we were like, we're never going to use this on our phone. This is just something that we do on a laptop. But Apple was really one of the ones to push that along and to make video calling and based interaction something that's a norm now. But anyway, I'm rambling. The potential XR headset that may be coming out really creates a new opportunity for developers to enter the extended reality ecosystem. And I think with that, we've seen a few really cool use cases of AR and VR for utilizing VRM avatars. I mean, I see Cam on the line right now, and he is an awesome Unity developer, does some great Unreal work too, and he has developed an AR iPhone app that allows you to utilize your VRMs. I believe it's specifically for CloneX owners at this point, but that is a great use case where you can create content by linking your VRM file to this app and walking the VRM around the streets, taking photos, kind of like Instagram captures, but for your avatar. And this is just the absolute starting point for this. So I think uh, as far as content goes, and as far as the different use cases go, XR is going to be a big push for me. Well, something that I expect to see a lot more people kind of incorporate use cases for VRM avatars in. But I mean, Cynxx, you just hop around all these different worlds all day long. and I am it's quite crazy to see how much you get up to in these virtual world spaces. So, from your perspective, like, what are some of the coolest use cases that you've seen thus far for VRMs, and what's, outside of the coolest, what do you think maybe some of the use cases that will help onboard more people to discovering VRMs and discovering how 3D avatars can be used?
Yeah. So I getting into these 3D spaces as we do, as we are right now. You and I were in here in Hyperpie and so on. We're really used to doing this or just hopping into other platforms and using our avatars. I believe that it's gonna become even more common just because it makes for a more immersive experience. Like I know I'm aware that physically we're very far from each other, right? But at the same time, what I'm seeing now is that we're on the same couch talking together. And I don't know, it feels just a bit closer. It's more immersive than just being into the over the phone on a Twitter space. Like it feels like you're engaging and hanging out with people in a way that feels right. Right. And
Yeah, and just I'm sorry to jump in quickly, but we had a few more people join, so just letting everyone know that if you are on a device and want to hop into the world, we're currently doing this Twitter Spaces within Hyperfire. So the link is hyperfire.io/rigged. But please do continue. Sorry about that.
yeah, absolutely. I believe there's two different kinds of I don't know how to call it sparks that can start this fire of people jumping into all these 3D spaces using avatars and so on. One is accessibility, and that's for builders of 3D spaces, builders of avatars, platforms partnering up together using the same standards and so on. So that's up to all of us making those kinds of things and making it easier to jump from one to the other. That's accessibility, and also the other kind of spark, it could be more about those kinds of companies, as you were mentioning, Apple with the expected to launch XR device. They obviously have a lot of influence. Like it's no secret that if they say something is cool, that then there's gonna be millions of people that think that's cool, and at least this time, if they actually launch something like that, I think it's actually really cool. If they launch an XR device, right? I don't know how it's going to look like. If it's going to be on the heavier side, like the Oculus headsets and so on, or if it's going to be so small and lean and lightweight as actual sunglasses. I have no idea what it's going to look like. But look, if they launch that, I'm sure that a lot of people that have no clue about what Web3, the metaverse, avatars, VRMs, blockchain, etc. is, you're gonna actually jump into buying that and trying it out. And guess what? Like the ways to use those kinds of things is through what we are already experiencing right now. It's through virtual spaces, it's through avatars, immersive experience, and we already have a head start on that. So I think it's going to make for a really, really, really interesting summer. Probably, yeah. If they launch that, it's probably going to be quite hectic for all of us because there's going to be all of a sudden a lot of eyeballs again into all of these things that we've been developing on.
Totally. And I mean, in terms of some of the best use cases that you've had utilizing your VRM, or the things that have been like, oh wow, like this is why I'm interested in the technology. Can you think of anything?
Oh, I have a couple. I have even funny ones. Like, um, funny one. Maybe I'm not sure if it's a really amazing one, but one of the tools that we have is for uh, changing your webcam from your computer into a virtual camera, and that displaying your avatar and tracking your movements, so that instead of using your webcam and showing that to people, you're showing your avatar in a free environment and so on. So I once was interviewing somebody and they weren't turning on their camera, so I decided to quickly boot up our tool and just do the interview with one of our avatars. So it made for a really fun interview. Um, Apart from that, of course, one thing that I really, really like, and I believe like is not very big right now, but I think it's gonna be really well in the future. It's just the fact of people like to hang out together. They like to go through content together and so on. So I think getting together in a 3D space to maybe watch a stream together, play something together, I don't know, attend a concert, go to an event, streaming something mainly, I think that's gonna get really, really big. Like, I'm just thinking about basically tweets, but in 3D, right? That's what I'm picturing all the time, and I'm thinking that's going to be really big. Just being able to watch art is something with people that also care about that. So instead of being a 2D interface like what Twitch.tv is right now, where you have the stream going on and then you have the chat on the side on the right, you get into a 3D space that is branded with, I don't know, tweets and the streamer or something like that. And the people running around with avatars in there and chatting, jumping and messing around are the people watching the stream. I don't know. It's one of those things that I think is going to work really well. And I really like, at least myself, I enjoy that a lot. So that's cool. And maybe one use case, I guess, for all of these, the avatars and so on, is that it's really key that the identity that you choose, like for example, myself, I've chosen this yellow egg that I'm always using. You are, well, using yourself. So you want for that to be usable in as many places as possible, right? Because if my identity is only going to be able to be used in one specific game or platform, and it's not really my identity. It's just a skin that I have in this particular game or whatever, right? But if I'm able to jump into so many worlds, so many platforms, so many games, so many tools with my same identity, I think that's super powerful because what we're all doing here, we're building our identity and the people that people perceive us in a specific way, like usually through our nickname, our profile picture. But as we get into these places, to these 3D places, we want for that to be extended to a 3D avatar. And, for that, you need to be able to use it everywhere. And I think that's pretty beautiful. Like every time that I find about a new platform that I never heard about where I can use my egg, I want to get in there because it's super cool that I have my file or I can connect my wallet or whatever and I can pull up my yellow whip and get in there. So, it's not only using my same nickname, but it's also using my same avatar everywhere. And I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's something, I don't know if it's for this conversation or another, but utilizing on-chain data to kind of act as that source of reference for these 3D files is super powerful. Because when you're running these applications in real time, if you have something where you have one version of your avatar that may be really high quality that you want to use in one place, and then maybe in something like Hyperfy or on Cyber where you want something more optimized. It, a traditional drag and drop approach, or accessing your files and kind of uploading them in real time to these platforms is a little complicated and a fair bit of friction. If I'm wanting to go and use my uh, avatar in, say, something that's being pixel streamed from Unreal, like I don't want to have to go in, log in, upload my high quality VRM, use that, and then if I'm wanting to hop into Hyperfy immediately after, do the same process. And that's really where the blockchain technology and the NFT and the metadata associated with that NFT is key, because one could have their base standard avatar that they use, but then they could have variations. There's the potential to create dynamic NFTs with different wearables associated with it, so you can kind of have more inclusive wardrobe and switch out different garments. We are day zero of uh, development within this ecosystem, and where especially people like self pushing us pretty far very fast. But there is a lot of potential with what can be done through utilizing on-chain data to extend the use case of VRMs. I think going back to the different applications of VRMs, one of my favorite is, in order to create something really visually impactful, I forgot the name of it, but there is a VRM plugin for Unreal Engine. And for those who aren't too familiar, Unreal is one of the leading game developer platforms and gaming engines out there. But to be able to bring your VRM files and your avatars into Unreal is a pretty insane thing. I see that we actually have pending Reality on at the moment, and they're developing something that's incredible that will help a lot of people with VRMs quickly and easily produce incredible content within Unreal. But for me, the fact that this is something where I can easily incorporate my avatar not only into platforms that already exist and that others are building, but to be able to build out things yourself is one of the key benefits. And I love VR with VRMs. I mean, Hyperfy makes it super simple for me to hop into a world and use my VRM file and have all my face linked up to my all of my microphone input hooked up to the facial blend shapes of my avatar to have my hands and arms move around in the same way. I think just being in VR in these spaces is really impactful. You're talking about the immersion before. I think, not only 3D, but if you can actually hop in there and feel in a 360 capacity immersed within the space, it makes it even more powerful. So that's really where I get my kicks from a VRM standpoint. But I think, going back to the technology quickly and talking about VIPes in particular, what, as far as the minting process goes, as far as traits and as far as the experience that people will have when they are minting VIPes, what can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And also on top of that, like everything that you were mentioning about um, how the metadata should look like, all the files, and having different versions, having different outfits, being able to customize your avatar, all those things are things that are basically uh, things that we've been laying out throughout our roadmap to be developing on Vibe. Like we're going for an approach, and this goes for it applies to Vibe Heroes and it applies to anything that we want to deploy in our platform is that we believe that it should be one NFT, one identity, and we're using a metadata structure that allows us to basically upgrade the NFT through adding more than one file in there. So it's not going to be, hey, there's this NFT that has this VRM and that's it. What we want to do is add on top of that. And since there are so many platforms with different requirements and so on, we want to keep the same identity within that NFT, but that identity can mean different versions of the same avatar that work in different places. What I mean by that is that we are starting with the usual DRM that you will expect that you can use web-based platforms, but what we're going to be adding to that as time progresses, we want to make versions of that same avatar that work in other places. So, for example, if a platform is voxel based, then you want to have a version of your avatar that is voxel based, right? Or if you want to jump into the central and they have a different system, so you need a specific solution for that. Or if you want to get into a real engine, you want to get into Blender, you want to do animations, you want to do renders of it, a higher poly version of your avatar, maybe suited for that instead of the basic base main VRM. Although we believe the VRMs that we're doing now are probably the ones that you get to use in most places. It's true that there's others where you need a different kind of aesthetics or a different kind of file that is more appropriate. So we're also counting on that. So we're going to be adding to these NFTs those kinds of persons. So for the Bike Heroes, this is a collection of 5,000 avatars that we have been developing for months now. Uh, of course, as you can imagine, they're VRMs, 3D avatars ready to use in metaverse platforms and so on. And we are going to be starting the minting phases on this Thursday, in just 2 days, on the 1st of June, at the same time that we're going to be launching the first feature of our platform, which is the marketplace, but it's not the only thing. And there's three phases in there. So the first one is for the OGs. It's basically for the people that have been with us in for a long time already. This is not at all the first thing that we do in this space in Web3, blockchain, in NFTs, in avatars. Really, there's many things that we have done in the past. So there's things like we have a couple of avatar collections that awards you mentoring spots. Just being in our Discord and following the story that we're telling about the bike heroes, participating or not enough, it also gets you mentoring spots. And so that's basically the first phase. It's going to be a really small phase, really. It's not for that many people. I think we don't have, um, yeah, there's not that many people in there. But I think they're really passionate about the avatar. So we'll see how that goes. So that's on the 1st of June, and it's going to run for 5 days. And the minting price is just going to be 0.01 Ethereum. So probably the one thing that we're always talking about is that the gas fees are probably going to be higher than the actual 3 files.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that that is 0.01 ether. Very, very
Yes.
reasonable, and I think a great way to help onboard people to VRMs as a whole.
Yeah, of course, of course. Like our main goal, as you could imagine, is to be able to distribute all these avatars. Like what we want is not for somebody to just collect 100 of them and never do anything about them. What we want is for 100 of people to have those 100 avatars and actually use them in all the ways that you are going to be able to use them through our platform and other platforms. Like our platform is going to be place to learn all the possibilities that offers you owning a PRM avatar, and you learn about the metaverse platforms you can jump on. Maybe there's going to be games that you can jump on as well. There's going to be tools for customizing your avatar, and there's going to be apps that we've been developing, so you can also use your avatar in multiple ways. Like as you were talking about, AR might probably be something that gets big really soon, especially if Apple starts pushing on that direction. Then there's going to be billions of people all of a sudden wanting to jump into that kind of technology. So it's all lining up really, really well. So that's the first phase, as I was saying. Just a few people. There's the second phase for basically partner collections, partner communities, friends, things like that. So we've been running small giveaways of meeting spots for people that basically we have done already business with them or their friends, they're been in the community and so on. So there's a phase for all those partners for calling the Open Metaverse Meet. And during that first day of that phase, that's on the 6th of June, that's going to be the meeting spots that have been won by those people that got into the giveaways. But on the second day of that phase and onwards, it's going to be open to absolutely any holder of all of those collections. So that's when basically the big window opens up to a lot of people, because initially on the previous days it's going to be just for a few, but that's the day when everything opens up. So that's going to happen between the 7th and the 8th and 9th of the 9th. We're opening it up to people that sign up to our waitlist. That's on VIPE.io. And yeah, that's basically it. That's when it opens up to a lot more people. So as I said, like what we want is for it to be as distributed as possible, because we want as many people as possible basically using the avatars, right? We don't want to have avatars that are never used.
100%. And I think you've done a pretty incredible job. In the marketing, everything looks amazing. The avatar design looks awesome. I think some of the mechanics of being able to select the avatars that you want are going to really wow people. And yeah, I'm really excited. I think it brings a new way of accessibility to these type of technologies at just the right time. And so I
Yeah.
think it's going to be very successful. I know that there's a few people in here that are working with VRMs and VRM technologies. And if anyone wants to, come up to the stage and have a chat, please do. We've got 10 minutes left. I know that Look, Mister is up, so I am going to invite you to the stage. One moment. Okay, can we hear you?
Scene is not going to be black. You don't to guess what you're gonna get. You don't have to mint and then you find out what you got. You're actually going to be presented with the three avatar and all the traits and so on. And then you have two options. You can either mint that one because you like it, or you can hit on a reroll button that you're gonna have in there. It's gonna have 1 minute cooldown, and that's basically gonna generate a new avatar for you. So what we want is for people to actually know what they're gonna get. So we got that covered away. Like we feel like that's a better approach, at least for us. Like in the end, what we are offering people is to live and find a digital identity that potentially they're going to be using. So we don't want for people to be guessing. We want for people to actually see.
That's super, super cool. And I mean, it's something I'm really interested in checking out. And I will probably be re-rolling a few times just to make sure I'm getting the one I want. But the fact that you've also incorporated that into, with traits that have a specific rarity, that's really going to be awesome to see how that plays out. It almost gamifies the experience. You want to get the right thing, but you don't want to wait too long because then supply decreases. It's a great set of mechanics. So congrats on that too. But look, Mister, welcome to the stage.
Hey guys, thanks for putting this together. It's been fun chatting with both of you about the Degen Rivals project that we're hoping to get the VIPE heroes in as well. You guys are obviously leaders in the space, so commend you for everything you're doing. But yeah, thanks. You actually, it's funny. You touched on sort of what my question was going to be, which is, this notion of like customization, right? And I'm curious about why you guys decided to kind of go this route, right? So you went an added level, to give people an option to say, oh, that character doesn't look like I want it to look, but let me roll it again. What would it have looked like to give people the full customization to say like, let me choose all the pieces and mint that character? And did you guys discuss that? And why or why? Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Of course, that was also the table. Like as you're saying, we have tried to think about all the little details, and that possibility also happened. And there's two things to that. One is that coming in just a few months, we're building around that customization and enabling for people to be able to do just that. Also, one thing that happened is that look, when you're doing these collections, you're doing all the trades separately, and there's things that definitely you think that should be more rare, things that should not. So a really simple example would be there's like crown for your hair, right? And there's also a green t-shirt that looks really normal, right? So if you make it so that people can choose every single trade right away in a limited collection, you're probably going to make it so that the trades that look like brown, for example, that is super, like everybody understands that should be kind of rare, right? The everybody. goes for that. So it's kind of weird what you could get. Like we were thinking about that, and we didn't want to end up with a combination of trades that look weird like that, where everybody like the most common thing is something that should be or looks the most premium, and something that it's just a little bit less premium, then it's not picked at all. So since we wanted to make it so that there's variety involved in that, if we went for that, maybe just because you could have the ability to choose absolutely everything, then it would like, look kind of weird the whole combination when put together and you look at the whole collection. So that's why we went that way. But as I said, like customization is something super super important. We believe that once you find the avatar that you like a lot, you probably want to stick to it and just make small customizations and make outfits out of it. So um, that's why we wanted to go this way with this collection. But coming in just a few months, we're gonna be launching bunch of customization tools so that you can do just that.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Um, is there any trait that you are excited about in particular?
Oh, actually, there is. There's two things that I want to quiz for, and that's why I'm going to be re-rolling like crazy. So, first thing is that just for everybody to know, there's five legendary avatars out of the 5,000 that can be minted. So, I'm definitely going to try to re-roll as much as possible to try to get those. And there's also active notes that are inspired by some famous mangas and animes. So I'm also going to be trying to get those. So yeah, I know imagine that most people are probably going to be trying to do something like that, where they try to find traits that look more appealing to you.
That was a great answer, and I'm sure this is on Discord. But for all of us that are here, what time does the mint go live on the first?
All right, so I can tell you UTC, and we're opening the meeting around 2 p.m. UTC. And then a few hours after that, we're having a party in Hyperfi, and that's at 5 p.m. UTC. So meeting 1 p.m. UTC.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Thank you so much for the conversation. It's always great getting the opportunity to chat. We tested out the hi-fi world and it worked out well. We've got a few audience participants, and thanks for those for dropping by. And yeah, I'm really excited about this mint. I think it's something that is doing a necessary job in helping people experiment this with this technology without making a huge investment. And I think that's going to be important um, as more collections start seeing other collections go to VRMs. I think to your point earlier, we're going to see this snowball effect where it's no more a game of um, testing and learning with this new set of technologies and generating 3D avatars from 2D pictures. It's going to be this pivotal switch to we need to catch up. We need to get our VRMs in place. And, maybe it's going to take collections some time because in order to generate the assets that are needed, in order to model everything, in order to get all of the the VRM metadata set up correctly. It's going to take a few minutes, it's going to take a while for people to ensure that is done properly. And I think for people that are seeing what's going on in the space on crypto Twitter, they may want to test things out before they get access to their true identity. So not only do I see it as something that creates accessibility for those who, you know, have experience in the space and want a new visual identity with the VRM associated with it, it also allows people to kind of test out what this whole VRM thing is. And you've obviously created the mechanics in a super smart way to make minting engaging, make it more customized to what someone wants rather than being blind. And I think, everyone in the space that has dealt with VRMs can definitely see the benefit and the forward thinking that has gone into this. And so a big round of applause for you and the VIPE and the crypto avatars and Polygonal Mind team for getting to this point. So once mint day comes along, I urge you all to mint just to be able to test out these avatars because they're so high quality. They're really well done, and to join in the celebrations in virtual worlds that parties will be hosted in. Is there anything else that you want to kind of pitch before we hop off things?
Giving a little bit of info, we're gonna have three parties to celebrate the launch, one for every meeting phase. The first one is happening on the 1st of June. So this Thursday, and it's going to be on Hyperpie. And we're also going to be having next week a party in Monaverse and a party in on Cyber. And I believe we're going to have a very special DJ coming with us on one of those parties, right? Mike?
Oh, maybe I'll be sort of cracking out some tunes. Yeah, no, I'm very excited. Be good. Been putting together the set right now, so yeah, really looking forward to all those celebrations as well.
Also, this is space. It's really always a pleasure to talk to you. It's really cool when we get together in the metaverse and start talking. And yeah, thank you for this, man.
Of course, thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything, and I hope everyone gets what they want from their mint. And thank you all for joining. We'll see you around soon in the metaverse, I guess. All right, cheers,
Yeah.
guys.